Hello and welcome to Afol and
the Kid.
And finally today we are going to look at the Lego UCS Hogwarts Express. UCS? Or was that just a Star Wars thing? Anyway, it's an adult collector series. Hogwarts Express, which has been released fairly recently, and we have now finished it. And we're going to compare it with some other Lego Hogwarts Express sets. One being the latest sort of toy play scale kind of sized one, which has been around for a few years now from Lego. I think we've got it mostly together now, but we have had a couple of these sets over the years, and we've taken the stations. It comes with a station, platform 9 3/4 bit, King's Cross, but we've taken two and built something a bit bigger to go with our mock Hogwarts Express.
It's motorised, yay.
Yes, which is the middle one there. So that's up in our Lego City, and we'll put a video up of that so that you can see this, our mock one running and what that looks like. And yeah, we'll go through the pros and cons of all of these sets here, and talk about what value we've got, what's good and what's bad. So, what do you think, Kid? Which is your favourite?
Well, it's hard to choose, but I think my favourite one is probably two. This one and this one. I prefer this one in looks, style and size. Obviously it's motorised, so this one.
Yeah, so I think you've picked up on a good point now, which is the fundamental difference between all three of these sets is that the latest larger set from Lego, which we have here, doesn't run on Lego tracks. No. I'm not sure how I feel about that personally. I know it's a big thing in the community with people saying it should be able to run on tracks. They've gone for a big scale here in order to fit a lot of detail in and to give you a big carriage that you can fit a lot of little vignettes in, a lot of little scenes. And if you've watched, I'm sure everyone's watched lots of reviews about these sets now, so we don't need to go into all the massive detail of what figures you get and what they look like and what quality they are. So, we're more kind of an overview here, having had this for a little while now. Yeah. And the biggest difference you picked up on there, Kid, is that this big one from Lego is purely a display set.
Yeah.
So it's going to, once you finish building it, it's going to go up on a shelf. It's going to look good. People are going to come in. It's got a bit of wow factor to it.
Yeah, whoa. I wish I had this.
And it does.
This one is mine. This one is kind of mine because it's made from the pieces that are mine.
Alright, yeah. A lot of other pieces as well. Yeah, there was a combined effort for a mock there.
Yeah.
So and there are lots of mocks around. This was just our interpretation. And we'll talk more about those individual sets as well. But if we just concentrate first of all on what we get here with the latest scale set. So we've got some track here. We did do a speed build of this set. We'll try and put us finishing the set up. But unfortunately, I had some technical details. We've all been there, and I accidentally deleted the whole file, having spent hours and hours editing it all together. So we'll try and do some more in the future. But I've got the very end of it is all that's left. So we'll put that up there. But in terms of build experience, this was great fun to build. There's some really clever techniques in there. Not to spoil it because you'll have some fun building it. The way some of the details are put in with the yellow stripes is very clever. There's a lot of thought gone into how to build this. That said, because it's so big, it is easier to put more detail into things and to make things kind of even when you're building in such a big scale. So that said, although it is detailed, part of me feels it kind of, for the size of it, almost lacks a bit of detail.
Yeah, me too.
Is that fair?
I think it is, yeah.
Some's really good, and some of it I just think, the source material we can all look at, it's open to interpretation, because you could say, well, it's supposed to be based on the Hogwarts Express from the movies, but then obviously, the Harry Potter world is fictional, and obviously in the books it's described in a certain way, so you could open that up to a bit of interpretation.
The colour on this.
The colour.
I prefer the colour generally as a train, But
Yeah.
I think if it was more as the Hogwarts Express, it should have been more that colour.
So we've got the darker red tone here, haven't we? Which we've just put this
Yeah.
little piece together for to give you an idea. And I think probably quite a lot of people were expecting Lego to maybe do something different with the colour on this
Yeah.
set. I think the bright red was fine for the play scale one. Bright and vibrant, more aimed at kids. Our mock one, we sort of followed that because it was kind of the
Yeah.
easiest thing to get the most variety of pieces. They obviously are more available in this bright red. Perhaps maybe that's one of the issues, and I guess it's just a design choice. It's kind of in between the two, if you see, because we've seen them being on the real one. It's kind of, you're never going to get that kind of beat up look you get a little bit with things with Lego, but it's kind of in between the two. But I think to make it just a little bit different from the others and to stand out, I think they should have opted, like you do, Kid, for the darker sort of maroon red here. I think that would have made it stand out as being a bit more different and look a little bit less toyish. I know Lego is a toy, right?
Generally, I prefer the colour generally as a train, this colour.
Yeah.
If it was the Hogwarts Express, then it should really be that colour.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you there. I think, but it's personal choice there, and that's just down to you know. I'm sure the Lego designers built this and designed it in several different, you know, in both these shades of reds, if not others, and opted for this. And they've opted for the yellow as well, whereas I think perhaps more of a gold would have looked better. It brings me on to these pieces which are cleverly built in here, these yellow pieces. I almost kind of think they'd have been better off being prints, and so we had just a more sort of standard sized cylinder going along here.
I get you, yeah.
Something doesn't quite flow there, it's just a little bit too, particularly at this scale, it kind of loses something, and I feel like there should be a bit more detail on here. And again, you know, it depends, going back to the source material, what you want to add, but having looked at it and based our mock on loosely what the source material is, we've got a bit more detail on there, and I just think at this scale Lego have kind of missed it a little bit there. And the yellow, it kind of works, but I think they'd have been better going for the gold or the dark tan, which is what they used on the play scale model. They used the dark tan. I think that's a better compromise than the bright yellow. Again, it just looks a bit
We
toyish.
used that on ours as well.
Although I do like it,
Yeah.
I think dark tan would have been a better choice.
Yeah.
But it does look good, and it is
It
huge in
works.
scale. There's a little play feature here, which you can put this little hand in the top, which you can remove. The train is, the locomotive I should say, is slightly raised up on a couple of blocks in there. So it fixes the locomotive in place on the tracks that come with it that you build, and it enables you to use this mechanism to...
And it spins the
turn the
wheels
wheels.
and
And at this
buttons.
scale, it all works very well. There's no need for the pistons to angle slightly like on the smaller scales. It does work very well at the scale there.
Yeah.
So I like that. The tubes running down the side here. I like the fact that they sort of widen out as they come towards the cab, because they do in real life. That's something we weren't able to replicate on our mock, and obviously the play scale one they didn't either. But what they did do on the play scale one, and we did on our mock one, is you've kind of got, you know, those pipes are black at the front because they're almost painted black on the real locomotive, and then they changed to red to follow the colour scheme of the locomotive.
This one's all black.
This one they've done it all black.
Yeah, I spotted that. I was a bit like...
And it wouldn't have been difficult for them to do. They do these tubes in red, so they could have just had a double clip here, perhaps, or maybe just use the red tube to this point here, and then use the more solid black ones like we've done here. I just think we were able to get a little bit more detail on there, even though we've got a smaller scale
Me too.
than they've got here. I don't want to sound too negative, because it is very well done, but there's a lot of things you start looking at and start picking at, which I just think could have been ironed out and perhaps been done better. And I think that, from what I've seen from other reviews and people talking, is kind of the consensus. Is it's just kind of, it's a lovely model. It's great if you're a Lego fan or a Harry Potter fan or both, and you're going to love this model. It's a great display piece, but it almost just feels unfinished. Like there have been too many compromises along the way, perhaps. But that said, you can't help but love it. You walk in a room and see this on a shelf, it looks great. I mean, it's long, it's like 1.2 meters long, I think. And I just think some of the details could have been followed. I mean, when we did our mock, we tried to follow the colour scheme a little bit more than perhaps they have, and just a few more details. They've got this little Hogwarts Express sign which protrudes out from the front here.
Sticks out too far.
It does, yeah. Apologies that the whole model is sticking off our table here. But it sticks out just a bit too far from the front of the locomotive there. And Lego designers are very clever. They could have done something there to brought that back a little bit closer. It's just little things like that. And it looks great from the front. Yeah. But just little things like that. I think the buffers on the front, at first I thought, well, they stick out far too far. I much prefer what we've done. But then looking at the real thing, they do have these red bits that, but I just, again, I think it's more how they've done it. They're too narrow. They should thicken up a bit towards the back, and I think they could have done that better. Brings us on to the use of stickers and prints. There are too many stickers in this set for how much it costs.
Yes.
We've said this before, but they should be prints. The plaque should be a print.
That should be a print, yeah, definitely.
The invitation is a print, which is nice.
Thumbs up.
But the little plaque is not, and that should be a print. I'm sorry if you can't see that on screen, but again, you'll have seen this in other things. A lot of these details on here, on the tender and the locomotive, they're stickers, and they should be prints. You can appreciate why on the locomotive they've done these as stickers, because it enables you to get them nice and close, whereas if they were prints they'd be further across and you'd actually get quite a visible gap.
Yeah, you would.
So I can appreciate maybe stickers have a place,
Me too,
absolutely,
yeah.
but I just think there's too many. There's no markers, stickers or prints or anything on the carriage.
I love the carriage.
Yeah, to suggest also, but coming on to that, yeah, talk about the carriage, because the carriage looks finished, apart from it could do with a little Hogwarts Express or a little printed piece on there, like we've got the little logo on the play scale one. So again, there's a bit of a miss where there's nothing on the large one. But locomotive and tender aside, and the tender's done very well. It's sort of scaled pretty well. I like the 3D effect with the yellow. Again, that's not really true to the actual locomotive though. It's pretty hollow. This, it sits on the track, but the carriage
That's why I thought you could probably motorise this.
Well, let's before we go on to the carriage, because I'm going to let you talk about the carriage, because that's where we've got the most sort of detail and features. It's almost like I feel they started with the carriage and then maybe worked backwards to build the rest. But there's plenty of space inside the tender, and there is plenty of space inside the locomotive, to be honest, in terms of looking at clever people motorising it. The problem you've got is that it doesn't run on standard size track. So the track that you get with it, you build, because you built this, didn't you? You get this long piece of track and this little platform to build it on. It is wider than your standard track, specifically for this set. So you'd either have to build an entire track custom out of different pieces.
Which you could do.
Which, yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot of work. I'm sure people will do that, but it'll be a lot of work, but perhaps you could. Or you'd have to reconfigure the entire structure of the train wheels on all three of these vehicles to make it run on smaller tracks. But then because you'd be narrowing the gauge of the wheels, it would look really odd.
Would, yeah.
So even if you could do that, it's going to look odd. So you'd almost have to have it as it is and then build some false wheels that would work on standard rails underneath it that were hidden by the bigger wheels, so that it still looks the same scale but can run on track. I mean, there's a lot of work involved in that, and I'm sure people will do it, and I'd love to see it, but is it worth it? The other problem you've got here is that there's no bogies on here, which are the wheels that move, if you're not familiar with the term.
That is annoying.
So the carriage wheels are fixed, so that can't go around curves. Same with the tender and the same with the locomotive, so there's no bogie on the front, whereas with the play scale one, it's a play set, but it also had a little mechanism on the front here and a bogie on the front, so this could run on standard, so we've got it on some standard size track here. And you could flick the little bit at the front, which enabled the bogie to move, so that will go on standard size track. And people have motorised these. We did motorise one at one point, and
the smaller one?
Yeah.
You can't.
You can. Sure. You have to adjust it a little bit, but you have to put a train motor in.
That's why we did this. So
we did. We did have this motorised at one point when we had the first one, but you can't do it as it is. You have to make the carriage powered or the tender powered and do some mocking around it to make it work, or build yourself another little carriage that can push it or something like that. But it is doable because it's the right gauge and the right scale to run on train tracks.
Yeah.
With our mock, we accomplished all of those features, but with a much nicer, sized, detailed model. So it's bigger, right? And we built a tender which is powered. The locomotive has a bogie on the front, quite a swinging bogie because it's a wider locomotive and a wider train, so therefore it needed that. And the carriage, which is our custom carriage. We did make the carriage originally 8 studs wide because it scales better.
As wide as this?
No, this is 10, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. 12 maybe at the widest point. I'm trying to think now.
Yeah, 12.
4, 5, yeah. But we shrunk the carriage down to 7 studs wide because it was a bit too big and a bit too bulky to get around the layout. It did get around our layout,
but it was slowed the train
a bit
down.
bulky and it slowed
the
the locomotive down a lot. And with the way that we've set this up, just with a single powered up functions motor, it just didn't really kind of work too much in terms of it moving along. So we shrunk the carriage down a little bit. But we still got, I mean, we never really finished the carriage quite, but we still got a lot of detail in there.
The interior is detailed.
Nowhere near as much as this.
No.
Fair enough. But enough that it's still a decent model with decent detail, that's a nice size, it's still imposing enough, because, you know, it's not, I mean, it is a lot shorter than this one, but not, you know, ridiculous.
No.
And again, if Lego were to take this and make a collector series set at this scale, it would be no doubt even better than ours. And you could motorise it and run it around a track and it would still look great on display.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so let's just summarise what we've got with this set. We've got a locomotive which is big in stature, it's got a nice little play function on it. We've got a tender which is nicely scaled, pretty nicely detailed. The coach, the carriage, the kid's going to talk about in a moment, but that is fantastically detailed and looks great. Colour scheme, we've mentioned, I think it could have been chosen differently and I'd have preferred it, but that's personal opinion. You do get with it a very nice partial station build of King's Cross. They made a mistake on the plaque and it says King Cross. Lego seem to make a lot of mistakes on these plaques. I don't know who proofreads them, but that could be improved. Let's hope. It's King's Cross Station. You've got a bit of that with the Playscale set as well. It's really nicely done.
Yep.
Yeah, nicely detailed.
I still feel like maybe like here or something, you should have the swinging thing.
Yeah, a bit of a play feature which you got with the Playscale thing. So that's kind of lacking. Is there enough station here? I don't know. For this scale and this money, I would have expected the station to be probably this long.
Yeah.
Really, it looks again unfinished because you know it's fine to sort of cut it off and be an approximation, but it needed to be longer. Yeah. Begs the question. I mean, or they could have done, you know, a little piece like this at one end and maybe a little piece of Hogsmeade at the other end. Because we haven't had a Hogsmeade station, have we? And that would again been something different they could have done to really sell this set or push it. Would have been instead of have the King's Cross station, for a change, let's have the Hogsmeade station, you know, covered in snow or whatever. Make a bit more of it. Put a bit of snow on the train. Make it a bit more detailed.
You could have like the extra parts, like if you want to take a few bits out and like put the lights in.
Exactly. Yeah. These are the things that, with this kind of money we're paying, £430, with that kind of money, you're expecting a bit more. And yes, it's big and it looks great, and the carriage is very detailed, and it looks great on display. And I do really like this model. Yeah. As we've said, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're going to want this.
Yeah, you are.
But there are questions with it, which have been put forward, and I can understand where people are coming from, because it just does seem a bit unfinished, almost like, you know, Lego have set the price point and they thought, well, what can we give them for this money based on what we're charging nowadays? And it just feels like there should be more. There should be more, or there should be less. Because what I think they could have done, which I think a lot of people would have been happy with, is shrink the scale of this down a bit more to something like we've done with our mock.
Yeah.
shrink it down to that, or even an 8 stud, like they did with the Disney train, maybe an 8 stud, and make that work. Because it's still even numbers then, which I appreciate is easier to design.
Yeah.
And then give us a bit more in terms of station, and give us a bit more detail. The colouring again, we've talked about that. Figures as well. You get quite a lot of figures in this set, but there's just lots of replications of the same figure at different times of the series of books or films, however you're sort of viewing it. The figures are nice. You can go and look at details. There's a couple of figures in there that are just sort of random, almost students. But you almost want to be able to set up a nice little sort of section of the station here. But you've got too many multiples of different figures. Okay, they're different ages, but that kind of works for the carriages, I suppose. But you get these little vignettes, which the kid will go through and sort of briefly just go through. Although we're not going to go into too much detail because you can see that on other videos. But it would have been nicer just to populate the carriage.
It would have been.
Populate the carriage in sort of 1 year group almost, and then populate the station. One side maybe have some muggles, one side have, some Harry Potter universe characters. Maybe have a bit of Hogsmeade and have a Hagrid there,
Oh, that would be cool.
Waiting to welcome
you
first
could
years
make
or...
a brick-built Hagrid really special with special bits and
Yeah, something.
Make
just
him bigger.
Make him bigger,
Like
or even
that.
just the figures. Yeah, with this, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the thing, is I love this set, but it just gives, there's so many questions come to the surface. Oh, what if they'd done this? What if they'd done this? What if they'd done that? And I don't think a lot of that would have been asking too much. And as much as I appreciate all the design that's gone into this, I think it could have been so much more.
Yes.
I think it's my sort of thing. But I do really like it, and what is here is very well done. And if we're just going to say, okay, that's the scale it is, then for what it is, it's done very well, and it's an enjoyable build. Apart from maybe the tracks, they're very repetitive.
You made me do that.
I made you do that. No one will ever see it because the speed build got deleted. But I think, just personally, the scale could have been different and smaller and more of it, and it would have been perhaps better and better received. But I do really like it, that set. So I don't want to be too negative. I think for what is here and what has been done, Lego have done a good job. But yeah. Okay, so we'll just talk about the carriage briefly. I'll let the kid do that because I have talked a lot. I'll move the station out of the way for you.
Does the roof come off?
The sections do come off.
Yep, that part comes off.
Yeah. So there's reasonable, you do have to be careful moving this around. You have to kind of break it up a bit and not lift it by the roof, because lots of sections of the roof pop off, not all of them though, not all of them bud. And then some of the sides come off as well. So you can sort of remove different sections. So you can remove that whole side there. That's it, bud.
Okay. So this is so they're all kind of based on the same main
so
carriage.
they're little vignettes of different years of the train journey to Hogwarts, right? It's what we've got.
And they're the same carriages, but this one's got Lupin, so that one's from the third one. This one's obviously the third song, so it's got Ron. And that one's the sixth one, is it? Yeah, that's the sixth one, I think. And they got all the different little speeches up here.
So little quotes from those films. Again, whether that was necessary or not, maybe not. It's a personal choice, I suppose.
And then there are light bricks in every single one, so you can light it up. So when the windows are on, it'll give you quite a nice effect.
They're integrated.
They should be brighter though.
Yeah, that was exactly going to be my point. So well done. You've nailed it there. That's what I think as well. I think they're integrated nicely, and the idea is nice, but not just with this set. With how LEDs and how bright they can be nowadays, Lego, you really need to address the light brick issue. They are not bright enough.
No.
And you just need a few options really, because sometimes you're trying to light a fire up, and these probably work quite well because they're kind of an orangey glow. But then sometimes you're trying to light up something a bit brighter, and you want to see in there. They're not bright enough.
No.
That brings me on to the other little thing I forgot to mention, is actually in here there's not a huge amount of detail with the firebox either. If you remember,
there should be a light brick there.
The Emerald Knight they did, and you got like a little bit of and you could have had a light brick in there to light the firebox up. You could have had a little bit of orange fire in there. Again, just lacking in a bit of detail. They're almost like they've reined it back to sort of bring the cost down to where they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But it's so expensive. You wonder, well, But the carriage is nicely done.
It is,
yeah?
yes.
You've got a nice section at the front here.
Yeah, that's got the.
I mean, we won't tilt it up to see, but it's got the trolley lady in there. There's lots of space in this.
I don't like her trolley.
I like the trolley.
It should be wider, because in that one it's wider.
Yeah, I think they've done it so that it actually can physically fit down the little corridor that you've got down here. So that's just a scale thing. I get what you're saying, but I think it kind of works.
That's Neville's toad, isn't it?
Yeah, there's little Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, good job, kid. I mean, it's the nice little vignettes showing their different years. But again, personally, I'd rather have just had the same thing, but just been able to populate it with different, houses, if you like, and have more characters.
Really.
You just do your own thing, but it's just, again, you get so many minifigures with this. But none of them you sort of think, oh wow, you wanted more variety rather than just the same characters repeated at different ages. You're gonna have to put your own figures in to make something more of this, really. And to really set this off, you're gonna have to want to try and Bricklink or whatever Brick Owl or whatever site you use. You're gonna want to maybe build a bit more station or something. I don't know, but it's I think that's the overall thing. It's just that the carriage feels very well done and almost very finished, but the rest of it just seems
the train twice, then put the other carriage on, use the track, and then put the station next to it.
I'm sure they will. People with a lot more space than us. This is difficult enough as it is. We've had to clear some space on the shelf behind us to put it down there because it is long. So again, I think it could have just been a bit shorter and just given us a bit more, given us some other stuff with those pieces rather than made it so big. I'm not quite sure. Why they've made it so quite so big. So let's just move on a little bit to our.
Should I put this back?
Mock. Yeah, pop those bits back on, just and then you can talk the good folks through a little bit about our mock. Just give a brief overview.
Okay then, it's just a part I was looking forward to. Should we move this one out of the way because they can't really see it?
Okay, yeah. So just very briefly, this set's been around for a long time. The play scale set. There are issues with it, but it was about £80. I think it's. But it's been on sale a lot over the years. You've been able to get it a lot cheaper than that, and because it's multifunctional, you get everything you kind of want really on the small scale. It will run on tracks. You can modify it with your own bits and pieces. You get a bit of station. It's great for play, and it looks fairly well detailed. Nice print for the Hogwarts Express on the front. For what it is, it's pretty well detailed. Again, it feels like it could have been a bit more than it is, but it was certainly kind of in the right place. The tender, I think, could have used a bit of work, but pretty good for what you got for your money in terms of it covered a lot of bases.
It has.
Perhaps that's something this one doesn't do, so it's odd that they were able to do it with the small one, but not with the big one. But let me move that out of the way.
So our mock one has the motorised bit here. You take the coal and the little red bit off here, and there's the newer motor in there. The
powered up functions, yeah.
Yep. And then the lights here actually light up. That's why there are cables going in there. So yeah, they'll light up, which is cool. The carriage, I like the carriages on trains generally.
So just use the standard magnetic clips there, and the standard Lego train bogies, which are just great for what they are.
So the roof comes off. Sadly, the sides don't come off. Actually, they might.
They don't.
No, they don't. So this is.
Well, they do. It's Lego, but so you tilt it towards them a little bit.
We got the different bits here with all the people. We've got the trolley lady there hiding. We've got the trolley there. That's about it.
Yeah, so we never quite finished it, but it was just sort of seeing there that this is 7 studs wide. We managed to get a fair amount of detail in there so far, and make it 7 studs wide with bogies and a fair amount of detail, and that will run very nicely on standard Lego tracks and layouts without any issues.
Maybe the engine, the main engine part, should have been about that long.
Well, it could have been perhaps a bit longer compared to the tender, but I think it sort of works out fairly well. There you go. So that works, and then the the engine is what it is. We used the printed Hogwarts Express plate on the front. And that's the other thing, we used one of these little, I think we used a little wrench piece on there, but you know, to sort of signify the piece, the shutter bolts that you would have on the front of a locomotive, which the real Hogwarts Express does have, and the latest Lego one doesn't.
Lacks it.
And again, just for the sake of a little bit of a one piece, they could have easily incorporated in that. And I just little things like that, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Why they haven't put a bit more detail into it. And we obviously accented it with gold where possible because it just looks a bit more special. And obviously the dark tan, which runs through, which Lego did in their smaller one as well. And the tender is the motorised part, so the motor and everything is in there.
Have we got any trains which have motors in there?
No, we did have the Emerald Express at one point, and I think that had a motor in there. But
yeah.
the train
Why
motor,
did you ever get rid of that?
I can't remember. One of those things, isn't it? But that had a motor which went into it and powered the actual locomotive. But generally speaking, it is easier to power the carriage or the tender because it gives you a good amount of space to put a motor in. And it runs along Lego track, forwards and backwards and round curves. The bogie does swing quite a lot because it has to because of the size of the engine, but it works pretty well. So that sort of scale is a good compromise and a fairly decent size. And you can imagine that if it was just, perhaps like you say, the engine could be a little bit longer, and we could have a bit more detail, and maybe they could make it so that the carriage was a stud wider, so it was 8. But we did that and it was a bit too heavy to pull, but you probably just need more than one train motor.
Yeah, we did.
More than one motor.
Didn't we have a speaker to put in here, which made?
Yeah, and we've got a little Bluetooth speaker that you can put in there as well, which you can control from your phone.
Don't
That's
think
very
it'll
good
fit in
too.
there
You can
now.
play the Harry Potter music or little steam train sounds and things like that, and that'll go along quite well. So yeah, so I'm quite proud of our mock there, being that it works very well on our layout.
Proud of it.
So let's summarise the latest edition from Lego. What's your summary of it? What are your final thoughts on this set, Kid? What do you think?
I think maybe the gold part should have had a bit of a better thing than the lever.
Well, I mean, the lever obviously is designed to be taken off and
yeah.
not stay on there.
But maybe like when you take it off, it could have a bit to go on there instead.
That's true. Again, just little details.
Maybe there should have been some optional steam to put on there.
Yeah, again, what we've done here, I know, it just does add a little something, doesn't it?
Apart from that, I think it's really good. I like the coal things, like the coal representation.
Yeah, it works.
I like the carriage. I think the carriage is a really good size. I love this carriage. I think it generally looks good. Like with ours as 1, 2, that one has 1. This one has 1, 2, kind of 3 bits which move, which makes it look really like a steam train. I think it's really good.
Good. Yeah, so I think, overall, it's a beautiful set. It looks great on display. If you've got the space for it. It is a display model. It is a display model only.
Yeah.
Anyone that's going to mock this to work on tracks is going to have a lot of work to do, although I'm sure some of you will do it, and that's great. You shouldn't really have to put that much work into it. The bit of the station you get is great. It just, as we've said, feels unfinished. I think some of the colour, I love the carriage.
Me too.
It's nice that it displays on a bit of track, although it just looks a bit too black. The track and that, you could do a bit more detail on there. I think it just feels unfinished. The handle mechanism is nice. I think that could have been integrated somewhere else.
Why are there holes in it?
So you can connect the station to different places. So you can connect the station to different places depending on where you want to put it. The partial station. But yeah, colour scheme, not sure if it could have been better in a different colour.
Would have looked better.
Scale-wise, really like it as a display piece, but I think it would have pleased and appealed to a broader spectrum of people if they'd scaled it down a bit and just given us more in terms of detail and made it at least possible to be able to be, even if it didn't come with all these functions, the powered up and everything. So
do any trains do though?
Well, some of them do.
Yeah,
but
there's one that I want to get.
Puts the cost up a lot, so I can appreciate they might not include that in the set, but it would have been nice to think that if you wanted to, you could purchase that and add it in and make it work. So for what it is, if you like it, it's a great model.
It is.
If you're a train fan, or more importantly, if you're a Lego Harry Potter fan, then you are going to like this.
You are.
But it does throw up a lot of questions, which I'm not sure we'll ever get the answers to. I believe the Lego designer that designed this has now left Lego, and
Really?
I don't know, I don't know whether that's anything to do with the fact that he had problems trying to get through his vision for this, or whether this just is exactly as he wanted it and it's his final hurrah. As I say, it does look great. I do really like it, but we're getting more and more now questions thrown up with Lego. I think arguably because of the price and because it's such an expensive set, and
Like,
Lego is.
There's a train that I want now. It used to be about £80, now it's 120.
Yeah, so the latest Lego price hikes, you look at something like the UCS Millennium Falcon and things, and they've jumped up so much. They were so expensive as it was, and particularly the cost of living and everything now, and Lego have thrown those price hikes up, rightly or wrongly, but we had to, however it works. But I just think that we're now starting to question, are they just throwing so many products out too quickly, making them bigger with more pieces just so they can charge more for them, rather than actually taking a bit more time to put a bit more detail into it, a bit more thought, ask the community what they would expect from a set like this, and then try and tick as many of those boxes as you can within that remit. And obviously compromises have to be made somewhere, but maybe there's just a few too many here. If you're coming at it from a point of view as a Lego train fan, you want trains to run on track. I think that's kind of the thing, isn't it? If you get a train set or a Lego train, you kind of think, oh, we could make that work on track, or that could go around my layout. And the fact this doesn't,
It's annoying.
yeah, I think that
So
probably sums it up quite well.
Going round our Lego city.
Well, exactly.
That would be awesome.
It's too big to do that,
yeah.
and that's the thing. Even if you could somehow make this work, it's just too big to look. It would look out of place.
Yeah.
So, I think the only way you're going to get that is to do a mock yourself, or to get some instructions from some Rebrickable or something, because there are some great mocks out there that look fantastic.
Did we copy a mock? No, we made that one.
No, we made this one. We took inspiration from some others out there, so if you see bits that look similar, then we've obviously taken inspiration from other sets like everyone does, but and then made it our own with all the details and various things. So yeah, there we go. That sums it up really. It's a great display model.
It is display puppets only.
But that's basically what it is. It's a display model with a couple of nice little quirks, but beyond that, Carriage is nice, but beyond that, I think maybe they should have just gone somewhere in between and just given us less but more. Okay, well I hope you've liked that review.
Please like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe to the channel if you've liked our content.
Please.
And if there's anything you want us to cover or any questions you've got, then do ask. We haven't gone into huge detail into all the figures and all the different bits and pieces, because there's so much out there already for that. And you can go and look at that in depth if you wish to. Best thing to do is just to go to the Lego shop and see it built in the window. I mean, I will say that when you see it in person, it's bigger than you think it's going to be.
It's bigger than it is on camera.
Exactly. So it does have a bit more of an impressive wow factor when you see it. You think, oh, actually, do you know what? That's pretty classy. And I do really like it. So I don't want this video to come across too negative, because it was a really fun build. I really enjoyed building it. It was good fun, and it does look great. And you know instantly what it is. Yeah. But yeah, questions I feel that perhaps could have been answered before they sort of designed and produced this set, which would have appealed to more people. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. We'll get the kids to do a bit more talking next time. But whereas this is just really a display set, it's difficult for you to kind of say too much about it beyond it looks great, doesn't it? And you like it, and the doors open, and you can press the lights, and you can make it do this, and it looks good.
You need to buy me the train that I really like, because that's got a lot of play features, then I can talk.
Oh right.
Thank
That's
you.
how it is, is it? That's how we're playing out with it. Cool.
Well,
thanks ever so much. We'll see about that. Christmas isn't too far away. Thanks ever so much for watching. We'll see you again soon on Afol and the Kid. And we'll do some more Lego news and reviews as and when we get the sets and are able to do so. And we hope you've enjoyed what content we've brought you here.
We should do some kind of back scene, like breaking Lego news.
Yeah,
Something
we have
like
done a few like that before, but the problem is there's so many people out there that jump on it, and we've got like work and school. It's very difficult to
Yeah.
to sort of jump up
This
at
does
midnight
not
and go,
make
oh,
us
there's
a living at the
there's this
moment."
new set coming out, and we need to do some. It's kind of already sort of been done, but so we try and bring you our own thing, and we hope you appreciate that. And it's good fun for us. So if you like what we do and you appreciate our content, we're hoping to continue to grow the channel as time goes on, and we'll bring you more news, reviews as and when we can. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.